You're such an asshole.
Oh, how you kids doing? More here. All right. Hi, Cappy. Hope all is well with you. I'd like a video response to the following question. Should I continue my plumbing career or should I pursue petroleum engineering? You don't have to keep me anonymous. I really don't care. All right, let me stop you right here. So, petroleum engineering was great like 10 years ago. Then the Bakken oil field fell apart because oil prices collapsed. OPEC printed off a bunch of oil. And frankly, with the Democrat leftist environmentalist community we got here, ranging everything from environmentalists, activists, Democrat voters, and Democrat politicians. They have made it between, especially Trudeau up north, I think Obama and Biden. It's just you're at the mercy of environmentalists who, whether or not they're going to approve a pipeline or a gas line, or we're going to allow for fracking, we're not going to allow for fracking. It is so unreliable that I wouldn't do it. And that is already that's the political risk on top of the economic risk that the boom oil cycles go through a boom and bust. Look it up. It's very interesting how, it does go boom and bust. And just a chaotic uh economy to work in. So, I mean, yeah, it's great. Yeah, if you find a job and you happen to have it where the current government in office is allowing oil to be drilled and refined, and oil prices are high enough that there's investment going on, sure, but I would look at a different engineering field that's much more stable, be it mechanical or electrical engineering, chemical engineering even. And I'm not you'd have to talk to Atham about it. Like, if you still like that intellectually, I would maybe go chemical engineering, which then would probably relate a little bit to petroleum engineering. There'd be a fair amount of overlap, I'm guessing. But, yeah, you just anything nuclear engineer. I wouldn't do that in the United States. Now, Iran might hire you. Sure, China be happy to have you, but not here in the States. Anything nuclear or oil, bad because a bunch of liberal, rich white women said so. Here's the gist: 25 years old, no debt, no kids, no student loan, graduated community college with an AA in accounting. Well, that being okay to what's wrong with accounting? Currently live with my mother in a leftist shithole. Excuse me. Paying $600 a month for food, rent, and clothes. I recently tested on IQ on Queenum, scored 131 with a percentile score of 98. On crystallized intelligence, 123 percentile score, 190 of a 95 percentile score overall. All right, so you got the intellectual chops for it. After community college, I realized I couldn't enter university to become a CPA without taking out student loans. I've watched your videos ever since I was 14 and decided not to get into any debt of any kind until I knew what I wanted to do in life. Therefore, I chose to get into plumbing instead in order to experience what the working world was like and get some skills under my belt at the same time. It's been 3 years since, and I have no issues finding work as a plumber. However, recently I injured my back, was diagnosed with a herniated disc, which made me realize my body is going to crumble when I get old if I continued this profession. Accounting was easy, but I think I would earn the same as a plumber by the time I graduate and get a job at any firm. Yeah, pretty much. There's nothing I aside from an intellectual interest, I can understand petroleum engineering be more interesting than accounting because accounting just isn't interesting, though Chad Elkins would argue otherwise. I don't know if you just need a job, why not accounting? Unless you're really doing this for an intellectual reason. I have one more year of work until I can apply to get my plumbing license. In the state, the most I've seen plumbers make is $30, $40 an hour, whether you have a license or go into the union. I plan to make a lot more than that in hopes of building a home and setting aside a F ton of retirement money. To add to this issue, plumbing these days has now turned into a bunch of dude bros fighting for commission, HR hewers filling up the offices, drug addicts, and baby boomer customers that can't afford to pay plumbers because they spend all their monies on their mansions or pickup trucks. That's why I'm recommending you look at self-employment. The real person you need to talk to here in regards to this would be Scott Wilson of Dumbass Contractors. I have his website linked below. I go get his opinion on top of mine. I'll provide you mine here. But to solve this problem, there's two types. There's people who work for other people, and then there's entrepreneurs. And I think you said once you get your license, you can open up your own plumbing shop. I do that ASAP, man. If you choose to go the plumbing route, uh, because what was I was paying $300 an hour for a plumber to come in, worth every penny because he showed up on time. And I don't know, you go work for the man, and yeah, you might have to incur some costs of which you go over. You've already done the homework and the research there. I think you make way more money as a self-employed man than going and working for someone else. And I think you've already started to figure out that just I don't care how many years experience the plumber's got. Uh, if he's a alcoholic, washed up, entrepreneur, unresponsible, unreliable type of person, you can run circles around him, even though you may not have the years experience. And okay, fine, maybe you got to work a couple extra hours to figure out how to do something, but the sooner that you can get out from underneath the employment of another plumber, the better. So I think the real money is in self-employment and just being a one-man shop. Yeah, because HR? Why are you dealing with HR? Why are you dealing with commissions? Why are you dealing with all that overhead and bloat? Fuck it. Go do it yourself. A good majority of customers that call for service are appalled at the prices. It always makes me chuckle because I know the demand for plumbing is going to shoot through the roof when people start retiring. My most recent idea was to go back to study petroleum engineering and move to Norway. If they'd have you. I visited lots of times and absolutely love it. Norway, huh? Okay. It's cold up there. Have you been there in winter when there ain't no sun? I've heard that obtaining a work visa to move there is rather difficult, even if you are a plumber, but I could see it being a possibility if I apply as a petroleum engineer. Boy, if your entire thing hinges on you being a petroleum engineer to get to Norway, I'd make damn sure they're gonna hire you. Like, what did I presume their petroleum companies state-owned? What are the requirements to work in Norway? Do you speak Nordic? Whatever the hell, Norwegian, I guess, is the language? That's a lot of education and studying to punt on going and working for a foreign country. I would do a ton more research before I looked at that. And then if your goal really is to get to Norway, well, then I'd ask you to reconsider accounting. Because accounting, you could get remotely employed more quickly. Now, maybe you're not employed in Norway, but you could actually visit. I don't know how long you can visit being a non-resident or a non-citizen. I don't know why you'd visit in winter. So you only need to be there during summer when it's fun and nice. If your goal is to spend time in Norway, yeah, the petroleum engineer is the long shot. The expensive, complicated long shot. The easier shot would you go become an accountant, you get certified, maybe not necessarily a CPA, but you set up a little bit of in either place. The best thing for you is going to be self-employment, where whether you're working self-employed where you are now as a plumber or self-employed as an accountant, because then you just generate your income online, at least with an accountant background, and then you could go live in Norway and do your debits and credits from a fjord with a nice cozy sweater while there's a walrus swimming by or whatever the hell goes on in Norway. I'm tired of my leftist shithole and rather die a poor man under an avalanche in Norway. The only thing holding me back is the fact I have to go into student debt or a large amount and study for another 4 years to get the degree. Oh, please, one wise one, guide me on the correct path. Um, I said, are you overweight? How'd you get the herniated disc? And once you get your license, can you go into business for yourself? Why would you work for someone else? Also, insurance regulatory costs of being a plumber in that leftist crap hole. So you said, love a video, blah, blah, blah. I'm not overweight, 5'6", 155 pounds. I've been going to the gym 5 days a week for 6 years now and meal plan accordingly. And yeah, you are jacked. You are. Where have all the good men gone? Oh, sure, but you're 5'6". What the hell? How you come into my consultancy being only 5'6"? How dare you, sir? How dare you only be 5'6"? I've been going to the gym 5 days a week for 6 years now and meal plan accordingly. Attach some pictures below. I got the herniated disc through replacing a few water heaters at a second floor condo by myself. It is normal for companies to send you by yourself as a service technician and they expect you to be able to replace the water heaters on the spot if the customer demands to have hot water immediately, which they usually do. Also, for the first 2 years of my career, I worked Monday through Sunday, 60 hours a week, digging ditches and other labor intensive work on top of the gym, which probably didn't. Yeah, whoa, you went way, dude. It's great to work out. It's great to get exercise. You probably injured yourself. You might even have joint issues. Yes, once I have my license, I can start my own business. I have already started building up a small clientele. They mostly contact me for smaller tasks that don't exceed 500. This is the most I could charge per task without needing a license. All right, but you could get more once you get the license. I would love to work with myself, but I'm not sure if this state is the best place to do so because of the ridiculous insurance rates, taxes. Also, we are allowed to offer drain cleaning and unclogging services without needing a license. The price of these services are still cheaper, ranging from $80 to $100,000. But if any repairs are needed, I cannot touch it. The cost of being a licensed plumber in this state, including the contractor bond, which is usually 16 to 2,000 a year. That's not bad. The more coverage you want, the more you want to pay annually. Certain startup costs, such as getting a work truck, insurance, LLC, and some smaller equipment like snakes, cameras, locators, and a jackhammer. The upfront cost of these items a year will run me about 10,000 total, with yearly fixed costs of 3,000. That is a lot of money, but not prohibitive. That's pretty low level to entry here. uh, I'll render my verdict here in a second. Depending on the price of the old creepy raisioning van I get, I hear from most of my friends that have their license that they prefer to work for other companies because the cost to be bonded and insured when you first start your business is a lot of money, while your clientele is still too small to rely on. With the way politics are going now, I can only imagine they're going to raise taxes in this state even more. If I move, I'll have to start a new client base and familiarize myself with the plumbing regulations there. All right. All your options are pretty good because you got a trade on one hand. Petroleum engineering. Hang on. State Oil Company, Norway. I'm just assuming it's state owned. Equinor ASA, formerly Stat Oil, Norwegian state owned multinet. Yeah. Okay. Let's go through this. Step one, your goal is Norway. Let's figure out how to get you there. Logically, petroleum engineering, because Norway has oil fields. They're technically all millionaires up there because of all the oil and the relatively low population. I would do a tremendous amount of research on your employment chances with a degree in petroleum engineering working in Norway. I have a feeling you're going to find out the uh, the work visa and the permits or whatever, the paperwork to get there is going to be difficult, but you need to find out what are your chances if you get a petroleum engineering degree here in the United States that you would be brought on to work in Norway. Keep in mind that's working. Like you having fun, they might send you back, you know? It has nothing to do with citizenship either. That's just you getting to work there. And so since it's you just wanting to be there, whether you're a citizen or not, whether you're on a work visa or a travel visa, I'm going to bet you're going to find out the petroleum engineering degree is a lot of work for a marginal chance of getting to work in Norway. I think if you're going to go back to college, the best thing to do would be accounting because it's more practical. It's not as hard. There are ways for you to get certified without having to become a CPA. You could become an enrolled agent. You can become QuickBooks certified. You have a background in it. You don't have to be certified to be a bookkeeper. And it lends itself very well to remote employment and self-employment. You're still looking at 3 to 4 years of working somewhere else, working for somebody, getting some experience, which could be done concurrently working as a plumber. You could take a course here or there, but I would recommend you look at getting QuickBooks certified and offer to do a little bit of accounting work for the company you work for just to get some experience. I think if you're going to go back to school, I'd be doing it for accounting and not even necessarily going to school, which because you can teach yourself online for free, there are some venues that allow you to be a plumber and then go teach yourself accounting um, without having to spend money or time actually going to a physical school. And if you do decide to go back to school, for the love of God, don't go to a physical school. Go to an online accredited school so you don't have to commute. And you could probably take a course or two online anyway while you're a plumber working for yourself or not. So I would then go and evaluate that venue, that option. Coincidentally, I have a course called The World's Greatest Accounting Career. That's available on Teachable. I don't really know if you need it though, because you already have your associates in it. I'm going to assume you're aware of um, the accounting profession and the big four and what it takes to become an enrolled agent. But if you're not, if you're unaware of all the different venues and avenues by which you could be self-employed and you don't need to go back to college you could take the enrolled agent test, you could become a bookkeeper, all that other stuff, then maybe you might want to take that course. It's up to you. But the accounting, unless Norway's like, oh my God, we can't get enough petroleum engineers. Yeah, come on in. Come on in. We're taking everybody. If it was that welcoming, fine. Petroleum engineer, fine, go do it. But I'm gonna think it's not that easy. And so you're gonna have to cut your own path. And the quickest way of doing that, I think, would become self-employed accountant working remotely. We only take on remote clients and then you work from Norway. And oh, it's winter time. Time to go back to the United States where it's warm or wherever you want to go. So there's that. uh in either of those cases, it's going to take you a while to get back to uh, to get to a state that you'd be employable either in petroleum engineering or accounting. So that being the case, you're stuck with plumbing. It's a good job. And what I would do, you already know what it's like to work for someone else. I would do the self-employment thing, even in the state you're in. You really don't have that much in terms of expenses. I would back off on lifting weights. I think you're getting enough physical exercise. You don't want to injure your body. I would talk to Scott Wilson and find out what he would recommend to make sure you don't re-injure yourself. I would then also go talk, follow whatever advice he recommends, like medically. I would go talk to a doctor and get your back looked at and make sure, like, hey, what stretching exercises do I got to do to make sure I don't do this again? You got to take care of your body in the trades. And because you're going to be in the trades for at least the next 2 or 3 years to save up money to go to petroleum engineering school, which would be the most costly route. Yeah, start learning about taking care of your body. Scott Wilson, that's the guy you need to talk to. He's on YouTube. Tell him I sent you. But since you're going to get your license, dude, you got an IQ that's higher than the average tradesman by a million miles. You have an accounting background. You know how to do accounting. You're like the perfect candidate to run your own small little plumbing company. And I think you would make way more money, more than the $30 to $40 an hour that plumbers are getting paid. If you go and you save up your money now for the insurance, you get your tools and a work truck that you need, right? You're saving it up for the next year until you get your license. And then when you get your license, like start saving some bits of papers and numbers, get some clients, run a very simple website. And I'm not kidding, like on time plumbers, sober plumbers. Sober plumbers. And you could say, we promise to be sober, do it right the first time, not leave our shit around, and not fuck you over. I mean, don't say that on the website. But your biggest selling point is that you're not your typical, meth head, dude bro, sister fucking tradesman. You know, you're a responsible, sober contractor. You'll show up on time, you'll do the job. And I think, I don't know what the working situation is with your current employer. I guess they can't have a non-compete. I guess that's going through the FTC. But I'd start set up a little bit of business, pre-program your website. Don't publish it. Just get it programmed, get it ready to go. Get a little bit of business going in on the side, and like, boom, I'm done. I'm off on my own. Hopefully you have yourself 3 months savings. You got enough money to pay for the truck and the tool and equipment. If you got to work a year and a half as a plumber to save it up, fine. 2 years, that's fine. But yeah, man, I get self-employed because 30 to 40. I don't know how you here's I could be wrong. I could be missing something on the accounting. But if a plumbers are billing out at $300 an hour, I don't see how you can't walk away with $200 of that per hour, even after fees and expenses and insurance and all that. Okay, maybe a buck 75, buck 50 with taxes. But that's 3, 4 times more than what the average plumber is making. And you can charge that because, again, if your business model is we show the fuck up on time, we do the job right, and we do it sober, your name is going to go through the industry like, oh yeah, this guy is always on time. He's always on. He always does the job right. He cleaned up after himself. Um, and I think he'd just be a one man shop because I'd be reluctant to take on anyone else at that point. Maybe you get an assistant to help out so you don't throw out your back. But that's what I would do. You've come this far, you might as well take your shot at $150 an hour. Because at $150 an hour, let's say your mom's kind enough to let you live with her. You're bringing home 300,000 a year? Well, fuck. How many years you got to work that you could go buy a cold piece of ice covered rock in Norway and go look at some sea trout? I don't I have no desire to go to Scandinavia, none. Um all of a sudden you're making pretty good money. And then what you could get into with plumbing is all right, let's say you run your shop, you get a very good reputation, and you become the manager, right? You ain't running around no more. You ain't doing the actual fixing no more. You get a couple employees, but by God, it'd have to be the best employee. Like, hey, doing a piss test, you're showing up sober or not at all. This is the business model I run off of. If you can't be on time, don't even bother with this shit. So it'd take a while to find and pay him more. Pay him $60 an hour. Find the guy. And then all of a sudden now you got a crew of 3 plumbers who are loyal, honest. They're not cousin fuckers. They're not drunks. They're not drug addicts. They show up, they do the job right. All of a sudden you could be sitting on, you're looking at $1 million a year business just because you don't do drugs. You know how to do the accounting. I don't know. That's worth taking a shot because you're already invested. And now you don't have to worry about your back or fucking it up. But in the meantime, you are going to have to be working plumbing. You are going to have to. So, man, yeah, go to the doctor. Talk to Scott Wilson. He even has a whole thing about staying in shape. What exercises do you got to do? I mean, digging ditches, working out, and then also plumbing. I'm surprised you can move your knees. Uh, so I would give the plumbing thing a shot. Take a course or 2 online with accounting. I mean, you got some free time, sure, why not? Start building up your client base. That's what I'd be looking at. And then do some added research on Petroleum. And all of a sudden, you know what? The Norwegian government pays you to go and become a petroleum engineer at the Norwegian Institute of Lutefisk and bad tasting fish. Oh my God, I can't wait to go to the Oil Institute of Lutefisk and bad tasting fish. It's been my dream. You got a cozy sweater when you come back to the United States. Yeah, then maybe, but yeah, do more research. But I'm gonna guess that's gonna result like, ooh, that's way too much investment for too little expected rate of return. And you're gonna be better off getting to Norway, just making lots of money as a plumber, or as an accountant. All right, there you are. Let's go to the super chats. Dre, $6. Girls, ew, plumber. What will my frenemies think? I don't. You know how little men care what women think nowadays? It's just like, nah, we got a shit going on. Look at him. He's kind of an example. Like, nah, I'm going to Norway. I love it, man. Artful clone, $5. My old high school friend spent his 20s, early 30s on an oil field in Texas, banked his money. He's not even 40, just works part-time now. Wish I listened to him. Yeah, this guy's younger 20s. He could, by the time he's 35, he could have enough money. He's like, yeah, maybe I will buy property in Norway. Dre, $2. Does Cappy see all his super chats? No. I see. What? What are you talking about? I go through and get them. Dre, $2. Spurgs, Cappy say go to the gym, but not too much. Thank you, Trey. Which one is it? This guy, okay, digging ditches. I'd never dug a ditch, but I had to dig drainage. I had to like reform because we couldn't get a bobcat back there. I dug that by hand. That's exhausting. And then you get to lay down the gravel, wheelbarrow style. Dre, $2. Ain't Norway tax rates 95 like the rest of Europe? Yeah. Yeah. He likes Norway though. Intel World, $2. Comb your hair, Cappy. Now I gotta put on a hat. All right, there you are. I have linked below Scott Wilson's channel, Dumbass Contractors. Please take a look at that. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.